So this is the Quincy screw drive air compressor we installed about 2 years ago. 480 volt, and this is for the smart fogger system. So this supplies all the air for 5 different rooms. The rooms I think were 40 feet by 18 feet, 40 feet by 20 feet, something like that. And that goes feeding that blue line up there. This is the air for the underwater systems. Those are actually air pumps driven off of the VFDs that we added, because they tried to install them without VFDs and they were just drawing a shitload of amps and current, and they were overpressurizing and they couldn't control them. So I stuck VFDs on them. But follow the line over, and that line comes down there. It feeds the air. The gray line is the water. The water and the air come together, go into the smart fogger system, controlled by the smart, the PLC unit for the smart fogger. This is all for the smart fogger, going into 5 different rooms. And for the undertow water system, so before, when these were hooked up straight into 208 volt 3-phase, they were only supposed to draw, they're rated to only draw 4.8 amps, and they were drawing like 5.6 amps because the way they had them hooked up was all messed up, and they were just overdriving for the amount of pipe they had. They were trying to put blow-off valves and bleed air into the rooms, and it was so noisy that you couldn't even stand it. So I threw them on VFDs. After putting them on VFDs, you could see they're running at, this one's running at 54%, 37 hertz, 55%, and you could see they're drawing 2.6 amps, 2.6 amps, where before they were 5.8 amps. And they would have burnt out the motors, burnt out the bearings. They're supposed to be sent in for service every 3 years to have the bearings changed. But because I threw them on a VFD, turned them down to only what they need, their power consumption has went down. They're only running about half the RPMs that they should be running. So these bearings, instead of taking them in and taking them off and sending them in to have the bearings replaced, instead of every 3 years, they should go every probably 6 to 8 years and then being sent in, because it extends the life of the bearings by only running them half speed. They have no load on them, and they're not, pedal to the metal, running themselves to death. And so that's the smart fogger system, and that's the aeration system for like an undercurrent system. Right now it's being cleaned out with peroxide, sterilizing the system before a new run. And yeah, that was that was Tommy's second system for the ABB VFD drives that he did an install for. And we went to class, sent them to class, read the books, set them up. And we have one at home on our air handler in our house on a 1950 GE or Western Electric old furnace. We converted it from an old PSC motor to a 3-phase ABB system, and that was his first system to learn how to use these. I gave him one as a toy to set up at home and convert a 1950s home furnace with to 3-phase motor, right out of high school with no education, no experience or nothing. I just threw him right on it and I go, this is what you're going to do it, make it work, don't ask me. And he did it.